Okay, very good. All right. So let's see. We're doing our test review real quickly today. We're gonna play a little review game at the end of class for a few minutes. We're gonna play Millionaire. Give that a try. And what we really want to do is meet all of the student expectations for Unit 2. Did everybody get the little lesson, mini lesson I sent out on Monday to review the writing part of the test? Did everybody get that? Did anybody go to that lesson and actually view any of the slides? You did? Good. And were they helpful at all? I hope. Did they help? Little bit? Okay, I was hoping more than a little bit. What else? Anybody else? Did it help you? Okay, because what I was trying to do was make sure that I walked you through those three things that the questions are about. It helped you. Good. If you look at the the three videos that I put in there, the videos will be a lot of help to you. Okay. I want to see some examples outside of what they gave you in your text and outside of what we've discussed in class. Give me some original examples, okay? You want to read the slides? Okay, Raina, I'll let you read the slides. Let's go to the next slide, Nick. Next slide. We don't have a lot of time. Okay, so a quick review. All right, so I need a little help here. If you guys could use your text tool, please type in on the left side some push factors, on the right side some pull factors. And I also want you to, we'll talk a little bit also about what's going on right now on the U.S.-Mexico border in Del Rio, Texas, that has a lot to do with push and pull factors. So, Raina, you can help me read those as they come up.
For push factors, there is the potato famine or an increase in taxes. For pull factors, there's land and more jobs.
Right? Give me some more examples of push and pull factors. Try to think of some original things that you might come up with. What about crops? That's a pull factor.
Another pull factor is for crops.
Yeah. Now, why crops? Crops can be a push and a pull, can't they?
And there's also religious freedoms.
Mm-hmm. How can crops be a push factor and how can they be a pull factor? What happens to crops that makes them a push factor? Think potato famine. What happens with crops that makes them a push factor? Increases and decreases. Good. All right. So if you have a crop yield, you have more crops than what you can possibly eat yourself. You have a yield, that's a pull factor, right? Especially if there's a demand for agricultural labor, right? If there's a demand for people to work the fields. Think about NAFTA. One of the things they talked about in NAFTA that was a negative was that there was not a demand. The crop prices in the United States were so low that it actually put Mexican farmers out of business. And that meant there was no demand for farm laborers. And so where did those laborers go? Gavin, that's not on task. Okay, but I appreciate that your man Nick got the whole setup. Okay, so where did those laborers go when they didn't have a job in Mexico? Where did those farm laborers go? To the United States. So that became a pull factor in the United States and a push factor in Mexico, right? Okay. Could we go to the next slide? Because we got a lot of slides to do today. All right, real quickly, can somebody use the text tool? Just type in the term I'm looking for there for the massive exchange of agricultural goods, slave labor, and communicable diseases and ideas between Eastern and Western hemispheres after 1492.
The massive exchange of cultural goods, slave labor, communicable diseases, and ideas between the Eastern and Western hemispheres after 1492. What is the term we are looking for? Don't forget, the chat is open.
Yes. So what was the term? Good. Somebody type it in for me so we have it on the slide and we can have that for posterity. Somebody use their text tool and type it in. Columbian exchange. Very good. Excellent. Thank you. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so we have glaciation, weathering, and desertification. All right, so let's read those real quick. Who's my reader? Raina?
Environmental processes of North America. Think about ways landforms and bodies of water are affected by the physical processes below. Glaciation. Did I pronounce that right?
You got it.
The study of ice and its impact on the environment.
Mhm.
It is estimated that glaciers store about 75% of our Earth's fresh water. Weathering. The process by which the Earth's surface is exposed to physical, chemical, and biological processes that interact to wear away or change the land in some way. Desertification. The degradation of dry land ecosystems by variations in climate and human activities. When forests are eliminated, desertification can occur. Topsoil can be washed away, and ultimately entire ecosystems might disappear.
Okay, so what does that word degradation mean? It's a tough word. What does that word degradation mean? To degrade. Think of it that way. To degrade. When something degrades, what happens? Andress? On task, please. Something goes down in value, worth, or in what it can provide, right? So if we're talking about the degradation of dry land ecosystems, what we're talking about is that you have this land that has been used for agriculture, and what happens to it? It becomes what? What happens to that land? What stuff does it lose? What do we use the land for? What value does it give us besides the fact that we live on it and step on it and build our houses on it? But what value does it get? Crops, plants, and animals. So when you have this process of desertification, what happens to our ability to grow crops and provide for animals and ourselves? If we don't have food, we can't live, right? So is the process of desertification good? This is a negative, right? Okay. So glaciation. What's the problem if you have glaciers and they're changing the earth? But what happens when climate rises in temperature? If climate change is truly raising the global temperature, what happens to our glaciers? Okay, and as glaciers melt, what's happening to 75% of our Earth's fresh water? As glaciers melt, what's happening to that fresh water that they hold? It goes into the ocean eventually. And then what happens to ocean levels? Okay, so if you're living in Florida, is this process, is the process of climate change important to you? If you're living in Florida, or you're living on the coast, or if you're living in Galveston or Corpus Christi, it's very important, right? Because as water levels rise, even a foot or two rise in the water level of the ocean, just inches in the water levels, can actually take out whole areas of land. Okay, so glaciation, we have depended on that process, and that's where our fresh water has been stored. But as climate change happens, you got a problem. Now, weathering. What's another word for weathering? The Earth's surface is exposed to physical, chemical, and biological processes. Another word is erosion. Would somebody write that next to the word weathering so we remember that, please? Just type it, guys. Thank you. Okay, we got it. Excellent. Let's move on to the next slide, Allie. Or Nick, I'm sorry. Okay, let's see. Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Which of these three countries has a temperate climate with tropical, Arctic, and semi-arid and arid in different parts of the country? Nope.
Temperature with tropical, Arctic, semi-arid, and arid in different parts.
Okay, that's temperate.
Consistent ranging from tropical to desert.
Okay.
Variable from temperature in the south to subarctic and Arctic in the north.
Okay. So the word is temperate, which basically means that the temperature doesn't change a lot. Okay. So the temperate climate is in the United States, right? Okay. And then the tropical to desert with consistent climate is Mexico. And then the variable from temperate in the south to subarctic and Arctic in the north is Canada. Very good. Now, there's something that's important. Mexico lies just above the equator, above South America, from about 15 to 30 degrees. The United States ranges from anywhere from 30 to right below 60 degrees, and Canada ranges from below 60 up to 90 degrees in latitude. So when you break it down, your temperate, your tropical and desert is going to be in the lower latitudes. Your temperate climate is going to be in the middle latitudes, and your variable climate is going to be in the upper latitudes. The further you go up in latitude, the further north you get, the more it becomes Arctic. The middle latitudes are going to be more temperate, and the consistent latitudes there for Mexico because it's laying in the southern latitudes. Okay, very good, guys. Let's go to the next slide. All right. We're not going to read this whole slide, but basically it's saying this. It's saying that uh, elevation makes a difference. The winds flowing from the prevailing westerly winds coming off the Pacific flowing easterly make a difference in North America, and El Nino. Now, would somebody please read to me? Okay, Reina, read 1 and 2 down there if you can, but in a normal year and in an El Nino year.
In a normal year, the warmest water is in the far western Pacific. This forms thunderstorms. Graphic credit. USA Today. In an El Nino year, the warmest water moves eastward across the Pacific. Thunderstorms disrupt the jet stream, changing the weather pattern. Again, graphic credit must have been USA Today.
That's right. Okay, now in an El Nino year, which happens about every 4 to 6 years, what's happening is that warm water is moving eastward across the Pacific, and it changes the weather patterns. It changes the Gulf Stream changes in the eastern side in the Gulf of Mexico. On the Pacific side, you have this warm water bringing in storms. So what happens is you get a wetter year in the winter, especially. You get colder, wetter winters. Okay, and that can make a big difference. And you'll have more thunderstorms coming in on the eastern side. So you're going to see things like more tornadoes in an El Nino year. You're going to see more precipitation, and it really does affect the climate in those El Nino years. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Okay, this one is really rough to read, and so I'm going to just skip it. Let's go to the next slide. I'll let you have that one in the notes.
What do these pictures have in common? Humans have a major impact on the environment. How have you impacted your environment?
Okay, good. So, what do these all have in common? They're all about human environmental impact, right? Cities, as cities grow or they fall apart, you start to have an impact. That is Detroit that you're looking at there. That's a whole city that is basically, it was at one time a huge major city, and now it's just a mess. Okay, and then what's that big dam and bridge that you see there in the upper right? Anybody know? It could be Chicago on the left, but I think it's Detroit. Originally known for making cars, but they don't make them there anymore. They make them in Mexico. Okay. Hoover Dam, right? And then what are we looking at the bottom? What happens when logging is done improperly and you don't replant those trees and you lose all that land? You can have the deforestation and the desertification. Forests can turn to deserts, and then we have a problem because we depend on those trees, not just for wood, but for oxygen, right? Okay, moving on. I tell you what, we are right where I want to be to do the game, okay? So we ready to do the game? We are going to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Okay, we're not going to play Kahoot today, although we will later on, and we'll do another Kahoot later. We're going to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So I'm going to control it on my end, but you guys are going to pick the answers for me. Okay. Are y'all seeing the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Good. All right. So for Raina, read the first question for me.
Is this
Uh-oh.
Is this statement true or false? The Mississippi, Missouri, Ohio river system is the largest and most significant river system in North America. True A, true, or B, false?
I think everybody's saying A. Yes. So let me go on ahead and choose A for you. Is that your final answer? Yes. Okay. And you're right. So onward we move. Okay. Can you read the next question?
Is this statement true or false? Glaciers have sculpted mountains and carved out valleys, but no longer flow and shape the landscape today.
In America or North America, either way, we're gonna the Mississippi River is definitely the largest river system in North America. Okay, is this statement true or false? Glaciers have sculpted mountains and carved out valleys, but no longer flow and shape the landscape. True or false? Okay, so this one everybody's saying false. Okay, Nick, can you see if you can move the cursor on your end? Will it let you, or am I going to have to do it? I think I'm going to have to do it because of the way that it's moving my screen. Okay, is this statement all right? Sorry, Raina.
Is this statement true or false? The U.S. Congress passage of the Homestead Act in 1862 can be considered a pull factor that caused people to migrate to the U.S.
Okay, that's the one where we offered people land. So if we're offering them land and they're coming here for the land, it's true, isn't it? All right. Next one.
Is this statement true or false? Desertification can be caused either by climate change or destructive land use.
Everybody's saying true. True? Yes. Let's say true. Let's find out. Good. Okay. Next question.
The climate of Canada can best be described as A. It varies from it varies from temperate in the south to subarctic and Arctic in the north. B. Variable. It varies from semi-arid in the south to tundra in the north. C. Consistent. For most of the year, the country experiences cold and snow. Or D. Consistent. For most of the year, the mountains are cold and snowy while the coasts are warm.
Okay. What's the answer, guys? Let's see. What am I getting? A lot of A's. All right. Because it's in those northern latitudes and it comes in from just under 60 all the way up to almost 90. We're looking at A. Yes. So we're all right. We're doing good. We got $2,000. We're on our way to $1 million. Okay. Long, narrow coastal valleys that were originally carved out. All right. Sorry,
Long,
Raina.
long, narrow coastal valleys that were originally carved out by glaciers are called glaciated valleys, cirques, horns, or fjords.
I wish I could give you the money, but no. Okay, so we're calling them glaciated valleys. Betsy, you're on the right track, guys. I tell you what, you want to go with a 50-50 or poll the audience? Let's go with a 50-50, see if it'll help us. It's either a cirque or fjord? So now what are we going to do? Okay, so we know it's fjords, right? All right, so now let's look at the next one.
El Nino has a far-reaching effect on the climate around what ocean? A. Atlantic, B. Indian, C. Arctic, or D. Pacific?
Okay, everybody seems to be saying D. Okay.
The Appalachian Mountains are what of the Rocky Mountains? North, south, east, or west?
Okay. So we know that the Rocky Mountains are on the west side and the Appalachians are on the east side. They go from southeast to northeast. They go all the way up the east coast, right? They're not just in the northeast. They're all the way from the Georgia-Florida border all the way up. So they're on the east coast, definitely on the east coast. And they are definitely east of the Rockies. Okay.
Washington, D.C. is blank of Ottawa. Did I pronounce that right?
Ottawa. Okay.
Ottawa. North, south, east, or west?
Anything in the United States is in what direction of Canada? There you go. Unless it's Alaska. There you go. Okay. Anything in the continental United States, Jacob. Thank you very much for
These
reminding
winds are found in the
Okay. Go on. Raina.
It must have muted me. These winds are found in the middle latitude between 30 and 60 degrees latitude. Polar easterlies, trade winds, prevailing westerlies, or roaring
These are the ones that we talked about that have a lot to do with our weather climate here in the United States. Wow. You want to poll the audience? Want to use a lifeline? Seems like most everybody says the audience says C. We're going to go with the audience? Yes? Let's go with the audience. That usually works. And it is the prevailing westerlies. Okay, so we're having a little trouble on that question.
approximately what portion of North America? Sorry.
That's okay. That is a question I would mark down. No, I don't want you to be perfect. That is a question I want you to mark down for your test because you're probably going to get asked that question since it's on a review. So on the test, make sure you know that one, that it's the prevailing westerlies that are those winds that influence the North America. Okay, now let's go on.
Approximately what portion of North America is covered by forests? 1/4, 1/8, 1/3, or 3/4?
Okay. 3/4 of the North America is covered by forests. Wow, that's a lot of North America. Want to phone a friend? Let's phone a friend. Our friend says C. Are we going to trust him? Okay.
Always trust your friends.
Always trust your friend. Okay.
Which
right,
of the following is
That's okay. Go on.
Which of the following is not a push factor that would cause a person to consider migrating to a new country? Volcanoes and earthquakes, vineyard or crop blight, excessive rents/cost of living, or these are all push factors.
Oh, there's Vincent. Okay. So most of you said D. We don't have any more lifelines left, so let's select D here and see what happens. D is the answer. All of those are push factors.
It's obvious. It was obvious it was D. If it has an all of the above choice, it's obvious.
Well, not always.
Yeah,
They
not
can
always,
throw
but
in all
most
the above, and they can throw in none of the above, or they can throw a different. Don't always say when they have all the above, it's obvious. But yeah, that one was pretty obvious because more than one of them fit. Okay. So when we're taking the test, don't just go to all the above if you see it. That's not always the answer, but go ahead, go on.
Canada's strong regionalism is mainly attributable to which of the following? A. The collapse of the cod fishing industry. B. Large differences in natural resource distribution throughout the country. C. Continuous large natural resource discoveries. Or D. The logging industry's adaptation of a more sustainable model.
Okay. What's the answer, guys? This is a tougher one. Think about it. Way up in the north, you have diamond mines and you have oil. Towards the south, you have lumber. This is why most of the people live along the southern border of Canada. They don't live in the middle. Okay? So, for the most part, the answer should be B, right? Because not all of the resources are distributed throughout the entire country. They're in different parts. So the answer is B on Canada, okay? All right.
Which percentage of the world's lumber harvest goes to paper production? 10%, 20%, 25%, or 50%?
Well, somebody's really, really, really confident in C, huh? Which one do you think it is, guys? I'm going to go with C. Let's see if C is the right answer. And it is. 25% of our lumber in North America goes to paper.
We could get $1 million.
Yeah, we
Which
could.
body of water runs from high in the southern Colorado Rockies throughout the state of New Mexico and creating the political border between the United States and Mexico? Mississippi, Colorado, Rio Grande, or Columbia? Come on, guys, we gotta get it right, or else we'll lose all this money.
Oh no, I think you guys can get this one. This is a pretty big one for Texas. We should know this answer, shouldn't we? This is a Texas answer, isn't it? The answer is the Rio Grande. Hey, we have $1 million.
We did it! We got $1 million!
Yeah, if only.
So who's gonna split it?
Okay, so if we really want $1 million, just out of curiosity, what would you do with it? With your share of $1 million? Make more money. There you go. Keep it in the bank and live off the interest. All the gaming consoles in the world, I don't think $1 million would buy that. But it might buy you an Xbox, a new Xbox on the market, because I don't think you can get a hold of a new Xbox yet. Series X, there you go. It's what my brother wants. A scoop of dirt. Okay. All right. So I tell you what, I'm going to go back to the slides again. Okay. Let me go back to the slides again real quick. Okay. Vincent, if you'll raise your hand, I'm going to make you the I'm going to go on ahead and make you the moderator for the rest of the time here. And Nick, I'm going to take your moderator off, okay? Because Vincent signed up for it, but he wasn't there early. Okay. So Vincent, I'm going to let you change the slides for me. Let's go to the next slide. And Raina, I'll let you still read them, okay? Okay. So tell me, if you were to just see this picture and somebody said, tell me a story about it, what story does it tell? What are we talking about here? It's not just a busy city, it's New York City, the Big Apple. Okay, so what is it about that those buildings all tell you? Why do they build them high? Why do we have skyscrapers?
To
Yeah.
me, it's just to be flashy.
Are you sure it's supposed to be flashy? There's a reason for having a 120-story skyscraper. And there is a reason why New York has skyscrapers and most cities don't have it. More space. Exactly. You have a limited amount of space and a whole bunch of people wanting to work there. So you have to go, you can't go out, you go up, right? So what is the process that we call, somebody used their text tool there on top. What is the process that we call the growth of cities? The movement from the country to the city. Somebody use their text tool and tell me what the growth of cities is, or movement of people to the city is called. It's not urbanism, but you're right on the right track. Because it's growth of urbanization. Good. Stephanie, excellent. Amber, excellent. Could somebody, yes, okay. Could somebody please write that up for me? And then we'll make sure that it's in white. What do we call that process? Urbanization, the growth of cities. Okay? Urbanization, the growth of cities. All right. Vincent, let's change that slide, please. Okay. Now, here's a word bank here. We have urban, well, Raina, read them.
What does this picture represent? Word bank. Urban decay. Urban sprawl. Dam building. Deforestation.
Okay. What are we looking at? Urban sprawl. That's the growth of the suburbs, the movement from the city outward, and it takes up all that land, right? Because the people in the city want land, they want to live in somewhere. How many of you live in a suburb of a big metropolitan area like Houston or Dallas, Fort Worth? Okay, Jeremiah. Amber, good. Okay. So whether you're living in Katy, Texas, anybody live in Katy? San Antonio, okay, that's also a big urban area, 7th largest city in the country. All right. Those 3 areas, especially in Texas, are all areas that have metroplexes, right? Okay. The metroplexes are very large. The city has grown into all that area around. And so you have the growth of urban sprawl. Okay. So is urban sprawl a good thing or a bad thing? Does it have positive and negative consequences? A good thing or a bad thing? In the long run, it's good in that you have more land, but it's bad because what that land could be used for something else, right? It is kind of both, because when you have urban sprawl, you also have more what? What's the big problem with, and this is a big question in your writing test this week. What is a problem with urbanization and urban sprawl? Think of the environment. This is the question you're being asked. Think of the environment. Not necessarily desertification, although it can lead to that, but there's something else. Deforestation is definitely a problem because you're going to chop down the trees to make more room around. Yes. What else? How about pollution? As you have more homes being built, more people, you have the growth of huge pollution problems, right? All because people have to drive to work. The longer you have to drive to work, the more you're in your car, the more pollution, right? So you're going to have a bigger carbon footprint when you have this urban sprawl problem. Guys, it is 10:40 or almost 10:40, so I'm going to let you go. Or exactly, the more do we depend on fossil fuels, because unless you're going to depend on electric vehicles. Okay. Are we ready for the test? Those of you that haven't taken it. Those of you that did take it, make sure that you retake the writing part and ask me for a retake on the multiple choice. See you all later. Bye, guys.